Now the host.
Okay. My name is John Reynolds. I'm chairman of the Sewer Commission. This is the regular meeting being held on January 9th. The time is 6:04. Dave, do you have a flag? Dave McDonald.
Yes, hold on.
Okay. Why don't you hold that up and start us out?
Allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United
United
States,
States of America,
which it
and
stands
to
the
the
republic.
to the republic,
And
one nation,
one nation under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Okay. My usual opening statement here. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link to join the public meeting webinar found on the posted agenda, or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar number 871-1768-1305. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and email address. Note, no participant ID is needed, just press pound when asked. I'm going to do a roll call vote so we know who's in attendance. Brett Ramsden,
Here.
Dave McDonald,
Looks like he stepped away for a minute.
okay.
Here,
Dave McDonald's here, Mike Nault,
I'm here.
Mike Mackin,
here.
okay, and from the staff, Bill Bernard
I'm here.
and Jane Rainley.
Here,
And do we have Paula yet? Apparently not. Okay, and guests, we have from Wright Pierce, Kevin Olson and Matt Corbin,
Yes.
and Mike Libby from CTE might be joining us later when we're talking about current business. So the first of all, any public comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. Any public comments from the commissioners or the staff?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if you could, I got a couple of things. Hold on. One is I want to thank everyone for the birthday wishes. I haven't been here for a while, so I apologize for that. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I also want to say that with the recent storms that we had, I'm very, very, very impressed with Bill and his staff at the DPW. Outstanding job. And Bill, you have nothing but love from us for that. So I know it's a hectic down there at the DPW. I know you don't have all the equipment that you need to do the job. It's amazing you got this much done. And hey, from us, I love you guys. It's great down there. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
And Paul is back, by the way, John.
Yep.
By
She doesn't look happy, but she's back.
the way, Dave.
Okay,
Now go ahead, Mike.
sorry about that, guys. Sorry.
We're live, Paula.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. It's happened to all of us at one point in time.
Go ahead, Mike. I think Mike was going to say something.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
I was just gonna comment that you still can't drive the plow truck, Dave. Even after all that.
I wanted to drive it today, but Bill wouldn't let me because there's only two. But I just want to get a picture of it. That's all.
Okay. Any announcements from anyone? Okay, seeing none, let's go with our first appointment, which is Wright Pierce. And as I mentioned, we have Kevin Olson and Matt Corbin, and this has to do with the potential of rerouting some of our sewage to Leominster from the Fitchburg, I guess from the Fitchburg users right now. So, Mike, Matt or Kevin?
I can start, John.
Okay.
I know, thank you, Paula, for kind of
communicating and coordinating this with us. So we didn't think there was a need to, do a PowerPoint presentation, so we didn't put one together. Our thinking was that, you guys hopefully have had a chance to read the memo. And this is it's 12 years later, right? First go around was 2012, so this is a refresher, which was really part of the plan. But, Matt and I talked the other day, and, we'd be happy if you guys want to give you a quick overview and summary. And then, frankly, we were thinking, you tell us if you're thinking different, that we could, just get into a Q&A and a discussion. So I don't know, John, if that would meet the needs of you and the commissioners.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, and unless I hear any objections from any of the other commissioners. So go ahead.
Matt, you want to jump in and maybe just kind of give a summary
Yeah.
and hit the highlights?
So as Kevin said, the sewer commission about 12 years ago asked to look in, for Ray Pierce to look in to see if certain streets that are sewered that currently flow to Fitchburg would be able to send to Leominster, because at that point, Fitchburg was raising their rates based off all their computer sewer separation work and other reasons. And at that point, Leominster still had a lower sewer rate. So we had looked at it then, and then recently you, the sewer commission, had asked us to refresh it, look at updated costs to see what's the thoughts at this point in time, which is what we did. So we made assumptions on the flow. I mean, Paula confirmed that there hadn't been really any development along these streets with like Electric Ave and similar areas, but we still made the assumption that it could happen. And there's two areas that we looked at from what the zoned called from the CWMP. One is zone 10, which is to the east of where Chase Street and 2A split by the gas station. Because originally at one point, half that was going to flow to Leominster and half flow to Fitchburg. When we did the CWMP update in 2016, we determined at that point it just made sense to send everything to Leominster, because it was generally going to be the same route. It's just redirecting where the force main went. So that was the simple one. And then the other bigger one is zone 4, which is along Electric Ave and then on north of Mass Ave. So the area like White Street beyond the Walmart complex that's not currently sewered. And then the two streets, Eastern and Upland, that are off Electric Ave. So we know that recently there was a poll for a survey for Electric Ave. I mean, for Upland, Eastern, and then the neighborhoods around White, to see if somebody wanted to see if they could get sewer extended. I know that the votes failed by the minimum of the 2/3 vote. So we knew that in the back of our mind, which was done recently. So we were looking to see if we could send all that flow, instead of going down to the west to Fitchburg, redirecting it down Route 13, Electric Ave, towards Whalum to the connection point at Leominster. It can be done, but you'll involve additional pump station, redoing the pump stations, the Twin City and the Electric Ave pump stations on Electric Ave, and redirecting other sewer pipes. So the big picture, based off the assumption of the current sewer rates for Fitchburg and a estimated increase of the Leominster sewer rates, the 20-year savings of that redirecting the flow was like 2.4 million versus the construction cost to do the redirection was like 6.5 million. So it was not cost effective, in our opinion, to do that. So that's the big picture. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Kevin.
Oh, I think that's right. I am curious to find out at some point, though, what the latest is. I know that you guys have been working with the city of Leominster and renegotiating the IMA. So I think Matt and I are both a little curious to see where that stands and how that's going. That's maybe a little bit of a sidebar. But no, I think you did a good job, Matt, of hitting the highlights. And So John, yeah, hopefully that at least kind of painted the big picture, and then we can kind of jump in and see what you guys have for thoughts, questions, comments.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview, and I think even if we had asked you to do this 3 years ago before we've had this inflation, it still wouldn't be cost effective. But
I would tend to
anyway,
agree.
yeah, okay. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Wright Pierce?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Dave.
Matt, it's good seeing you too, by the way. I haven't seen you in month of Sunday, so you look
Yeah.
good.
Thank
I
you.
see, I see you grew up a little bit. That's good. The question I got for you is there any cost savings if we don't do the whole transfer over, just portions of it, just to take some, just a simple stuff without replacing pump stations? And going forward, we're obviously going to be trying to ship everything to Leominster. But location. But is there any way we could look at that and break it down?
We hadn't looked at that. I mean, top of my head, it could help because A, you're sending less flow and you won't have that pump station at the bottom of White and Mass Ave. And that potentially you'd have to look to see Electric Ave and Twin City if they get how much additional flow they can handle based off the existing pumps, or if they could be slightly upgraded versus replacing the entire pump stations. I mean, I know eventually they're going to get the pumps probably close to their lifetime. It's probably been close to 25 years. Some of them have been running. I know we looked at it as part of the O&M manual, and generally they were in decent condition a few years ago.
Well, did you look at the long range forecast for Fitchburg? I think Fitchburg is going to go up, what is it, 10% for the next 5 years or something like that? Paula, do you know what those numbers are?
I'm sorry, what?
The numbers for Fitchburg, what their sewer rates are going to go up over the next 5 years? It's kind of,
7% every year for the next 5 years.
I mean, that's a pretty big jump. And that's why we're looking at this now, Matt, just so you know. So
Okay.
anything would help, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And while we're on the subject, Kevin, it's also, thank you for coming today. It's been good seeing you. I haven't seen you for a while myself. But I had a resident call me, Mr. Chair, says, can you suggest we add the West Street and Woodruff properties to the sewer area? They're going to be contacting you soon, but they just want to plant the seed and let us know what we think about that. I guess there's proposed projects going on in that neighborhood.
Now, you said West Street?
West Street and Woodruff properties to the sewer service area.
Part of West Street is on sewerage.
Yeah, I don't know if it all is, or I don't know what.
No, I think it's the from Leominster Road up to what's the next intersection, Sunny Hill, or
I invited this resident to join us maybe at the next meeting. I can have him contact you if you like, but
sure.
just text literally 20 minutes ago. But, and we are going to do the IMA. We're working on that now, Kevin. So I think Paula's going to go through it, but we're still working on it. Your input would be great too. As long as you don't charge us, it would be great.
That's good. But let's go back, Dave, to the, if we could, Mr. Chair, if, I could just respond to Dave's first question. Matt, it was just looking as we've been talking here, and you know, we carried the current Fitchburg rate, but I don't know that we escalated it over that 20-year period. Did you correct me if I'm wrong? But,
No, we didn't escalate them over the 20 years.
Okay.
Nor did we, I don't think we knew, or if I did, I missed what Paula had sent me about the 7% over each of the next 5 years.
Yeah, I did include that.
All right, I missed that. Sorry.
5 years.
Well,
That's okay.
But what we can do is, you know, we can treat this as a draft. I think that was always our plan. Have the meeting, discuss these items, which are good. And that's a pretty quick adjustment, Matt. I don't know that it's going to flip I don't know that it's going to flip the cost effectiveness, but we can certainly make that adjustment. Yeah, the other risk point there too is I don't know what you're hearing from Leominster as you guys are renegotiating the IMA, but you know, and we talked about this 14 years ago too. Was what is Leominster's plan over the next 20 years? I think you did put in something, Matt. I think it was a 30% increase for Leominster. But yeah, so that is a risk factor there. Is is it possible that Fitchburg and Leominster increase similarly over that 20-year span? And, you know, it ends up being a little bit of a push, so to speak.
Kevin, I'm hoping there'll be some relief. This can only go on so long. I mean, you can't keep raising rates. This is so stupid what's going on in the world today. And
Well, raising rates, I mean, at least and things have, not to get into a huge financial discussion, but at least, yeah, it's been crazy for the last 3 years, but I think inflation is finally settling back down to something a little more normal. But yeah, 7% per year is still higher than, the average inflation. I hear you, Dave.
Some of that probably has to do Fitchburg's under consent decree, and we had helped early on with a couple of their phases of sewer separation, and they still had many other phases to go in other requirements at the treatment plant, which I know we've helped with the treatment plant upgrades, but I don't know if those are all complete. At this point, it seemed like Leominster's done most of their complete, because we helped design like 10, 12 years ago, Kevin and I, the tertiary treatment upgrade at the wastewater treatment plant, and we had help with some of the sewer separation and the combination manhole separations. So it could be typical maintenance for them versus still trying to separate sewers at this stage.
On that note, if I could, yeah, we have been working with the city of Leominster, as you guys know, and we just wrapped up phase 3 of their treatment plant upgrade. You guys have probably heard that from them, Mark P. Marini and others that you're probably talking to. And it doesn't mean they're done, but they've taken a good bite out of it. Fitchburg, we've done some plant work, as Matt noted too, but last plant job we did with them goes back a couple of years now, and they still have some other things they need to do at the plant. So yeah, Fitchburg still, maybe a little bit unlike Leominster, has some looming pretty sizable upgrades. I'll just leave it at that.
from what I see, working with the people in Leominster, they know what they're doing over there without any question.
They do. They do.
Pittsburgh is just behind the 8 ball. It's been behind the 8 ball for 10 years. You can't really blame anybody. It's just Pittsburgh is a lot older city. I mean,
yeah, and they're playing catch up, Dave. I agree with you. And they've had some staff turnover over the last 2 years too. So yeah.
well, everybody has that. That's what I'm saying.
Sure,
It's
sure.
tough. And plus, going through COVID,
Yeah.
I mean, I know the APRA money was out there to help sewer. In this town, it didn't happen to go out that way. But like Leominster, they got extra money from the APRA money, and Fitchburg got money as well. But I think we got like 100 grand. But it was made for these problems that we have. But we are trying to keep the rates low for our customers, and it's been working out so far. But we know that it's going to have to go up somewhere along the way. We're just trying to find the best possible way.
Okay. Do any of the other commissioners have any questions to Wright Pierce? Okay, seeing none. Dave, now, based on your questions, Dave, are we looking up? We would like you to write, Kevin and Matt, we would like you to look at the additional 7% per year, just to see, so we have what that number is. Dave, are you looking for them to do more based on your questions?
I need their opinion. And Matt, you're the brain over there. Is there a way we could turn some of the waste to Leominster without causing instead of a main trunk line, is there any of these branches that can hook into a Leominster branch?
Like gravity, Dave?
Yes.
I'd have to look into it. There may be some, they maybe have to do some redirecting of force mains for the electric and Twin City pump stations. But at some point, I don't know if you're trying to look to find out like where it breaks even between going to Leominster to Fitchburg versus.
Well, I guess what is break even now? If Fitchburg's going to go up 7% a year for the next 5 years, what is the break even point? You know what I mean? I think Leominster, you're not going to see much of an increase after the new negotiations we're doing. Paula, what do you think?
There's going to be a substantial increase initially. I don't want to be I actually don't want to put the number out there, but it's a substantial increase, more than 10%, at least initially. So what the plan is moving forward, I don't know, but that's one of the topics I think we need to talk about with Leominster in our next meeting, is what they're looking at for any capital projects that they're going to be doing, because any capital projects that either Fitchburg or Leominster does, we have to share in that cost. So I think that's a big part of the negotiation, is to understand if there's any capital projects coming up.
Well, the good news is that the 40B development in Lunenburg, that's kind of put on the back burner for a while. I can't say it's dead, because nothing's dead until it's dead. But it's gonna be, it's in the ICU right now, so that's good for the users in Lunenburg as far as keeping the rates down, so.
Paula, do you think it's appropriate that the 30% that, increase that we just talked about for Leominster, do you think that's an appropriate number? I know you don't want to, but you think that's
honestly, I think right now it's high.
okay.
I think we'll know more in the next couple of weeks. My hope is that we can get through the IMA, our ask tonight, and then schedule a meeting with Leominster in the near future. So I think we'll have more information, within a month, at the most 2.
Well, we'll leave what we have for now for Leominster increase. We'll look at the 7% per year increase as we've already talked about for Fitchburg, and that's an easy math, and we can update things. And get it back to you. Or Paula, we could hold off if you think you might get some feedback in the next 2 to 4 weeks. That's up to you guys. So.
I would just suggest maybe holding off. Anyone else have an opinion on that?
I kind of agree. I think that once we do lock with Leominster, we know exactly where we're gonna be. The numbers that Matt gave, as far as pump stations and all that, I mean, 7% ain't gonna affect that, in my opinion. So I'd say once we know where we're at with Leominster, then look at options from there.
One thing I do recommend, Mr. Chair, is maybe have Kevin look at the IMA that's where we negotiated right now. I don't know what you would charge for that, but I think his expertise might be important. He could probably help us a little bit because we're doing some different things. We're thinking outside the box.
You mean looking at the IMA as it's currently on the agenda?
No, his input on it.
So we did get input from Wright Pierce on the IMA initially, and that went out to all of you guys. We did get their thoughts initially.
But yes, Paul, I was just going to say that, but happy to take another look at an updated draft, or we're here to help you guys. So yeah, if you want to pull us back in on that at some point, let us know. It's up to you.
No, that's good to know. That's all. Keep the door open.
Sure.
We'll let you know, Kevin. We're going to be talking about the IMA tonight, and
okay.
Maybe we'll come to a decision about if it's ready for you to take a look at it now or wait. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Any final questions for Wright Pierce?
Thank you, guys.
Seeing
Yes,
nothing.
thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kevin and Matt. Good seeing both of you.
So we'll hold off until we hear from
Correct.
Paula or the sewer commission. All right.
Paul, it'll be Paula.
Okay.
Good to see you
Thank
all.
you, gentlemen.
Thank you
Thank you.
again.
Bye.
Okay. Paula, I did get your email about Mike Lilly, but I don't see him on here.
Yeah, Robert Lilly, and I asked him.
Robert Lilly. Yeah.
That's okay. I asked him to join at 6:40. So if
Okay.
it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I'm thinking that rather than get into the IMA discussion, we handle some of the other items until he joins, just so that we're not right in the midst of it.
No, that's fine with me, unless anyone objects.
Yep.
Seeing no objections. All right, the next item is minutes from 12/12/23. Has everyone had a chance to read those?
Yes.
Okay, that's 1 yes. I'm 2 yeses.
Yes.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion to
make
accept
a
the
motion
minutes
to
from
adopt the minutes.
12/12?
Of 12/12?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a roll call vote. Mike Nault,
Aye.
Dave McDonald,
I wasn't present, so I should abstain, but if you want, I read them, I approve them, but I wasn't.
you can approve them. So,
Aye.
okay. Brett Ramsden
Aye.
and Michael Mackin.
Aye.
An aye for myself. The minutes are approved. Okay, the next item we're going to talk is the request for an extension at 1 Main Street. This has to do with the grease trap at Larry's. Paul has been communicating with the landlord, and he has been working with a plumber and a plumbing engineer, and he's just asking for another 1 month extension. Paula, do you want to add anything else to that?
No, he's just looking for an extension till January 29th. He did hire a plumber and they cambered the lines, and a plumbing engineer is in the process of evaluating the grease trap to make his recommendations. So he plans to be ready for the January 29th meeting.
All right, so we need to take, go ahead.
So it's a 5-day extension is what he's looking for. Am I getting this correct? He was supposed to be back on the 24th from the last one?
If
It was
that's,
January 3rd was our
Third,
deadline.
Okay. Thank you.
all right, so just someone want to make a motion to
Mr. Chair, if I could, Bill, Paula, what's your recommendation on this?
Yeah, so it appears he's making the effort to do what we asked. Yeah, I would recommend granting the extension.
Paula, same?
I agree.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Dave, since you have the floor there, you want to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I put a motion that we accept the proposal, extend Bad Larry's, the landlord, Philip, to January 29th.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Nault. Mike, did we just lose Mike?
I'm here.
No, he jumped to the other side of my screen.
Oh. I did say aye, though.
Okay. McDonald?
Aye.
Mike Mackin,
Aye.
Brett Ramson,
Aye.
and I for myself, the motion passes. Okay. The next item on the agenda is capital planning.
I'd like to wait for Robert on that one.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay. Who is the host of the meeting right now, John? Is that
No.
you?
I'm recording. Does that mean I'm the host?
Okay, so you're the host. So when you get a notification that Robert's in the waiting room, you will need to let him in.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So if it's okay, I'll skip to the update on system maintenance.
Paula,
Yeah.
Paula, are you gonna need to be the host to do any kind of presentation or?
I think that John can share it with me, but
Okay,
we'll see when we get there. The software issues that we're having continue. Bottom line is that the issue was from the Munis software. Munis is got several problems. The bill print, many of them were incorrect. The previous balance and payments and interest are off on the bills. And what happened with those that were over or under billed is that apply credits when I ran the bill run process did not work correctly. So that resulted in erroneous amounts being posted. So I did work with Peggy Whittle today, and we were able to correct the accounts that were off and redistribute. So we ran through a process of doing adjustments on the bills that were overbilled and then redistributing the credits that were on other bills. And mainly those were irrigation credits. And that has fixed the existing accounts. The issue is that if I were to run a bill run tomorrow, we would have the same problem. So they have developed an in-house ticket with development to correct this issue. I've stressed that my next bill run is supposed to happen February 1st. And so they're working on to get the fix before then. We cannot currently run demands. Typically, we run demands 15 days after the due date of the bill. Demands do not run. When I attempted to do it in training, I received an error message. I reported it, and it's a known issue, and development is working on it. I will say that is a direct loss of revenue for us, because anyone who's paid late, typically they would have a $10 fee associated. We've lost that revenue. We currently still have a number of bills outstanding. We have 238 as of today. So, that's $2,000, $2,300 that we're losing. So they're working on it, and they're working on a due date for the fix. Also, we have an issue with interest calculating incorrectly, and we're not quite sure what's happening with that. It's only happened on a couple accounts, but we're working on that as well. I will inform the commission that we did have a meeting. I contacted Tom Alonso as an IT person. I worked with Tom for over 12 years as a selectman and know his background very well. So I contacted him just for his thoughts. And he was gracious enough to meet with myself and John, and Dave actually happened to be there. And he had some real strong feelings about the need to get this fixed. I mean, this is an accounting and utility billing software. We shouldn't be having these kind of issues. So he's joined a team of myself, Heather, IT, which is Dan Natareski, and Casey Chisholm of Suzer. And he requested that Munis put together a spreadsheet of all of the issues, who's been assigned to them, when they propose that those issues will be fixed, and he wants daily updates. And we have been getting daily updates since that meeting. Unfortunately, just not any fixes yet. So that's where we are.
Yeah, so I just want to go back to almost the first thing Paula said, and that is she and Tyler Technologies is going through a process of trying to correct the data in the system. But as she said, until the software fixes are made, there's the same thing could happen. And Paula has spent over 400 hours.
I would say much more than 400 hours at this point.
And I mean, you all know what that means. It's $400 on this. It's 400 hours she isn't able to spend on Tom and doing other things. So it's, it is an issue. And I guess one of the ones that bothers me the most is that running the demands, this upgrade was installed with, we requested the town requested the upgrade, and it was installed with what I consider a pretty major known error, and that's not being able to run demands. But and I hope it's fixed for the next run.
What we did learn from the meeting that we had with all of the people that I just mentioned is that we should be logging into Tyler Deploy to find out, because one of the questions that I asked is why weren't we notified of this issue so that we knew demands wouldn't run? And what the feedback was that, well, we should be checking Tyler Deploy for fixes and patches. And no one in IT had been notified of that. And they were told just to go onto the website and log into Tyler Deploy. Unfortunately, they couldn't do that because there was an issue doing that as well. They had to put in a ticket, and someone had to actually allow them to log into the system. But my understanding is that's now been fixed. We've been able to log into Tyler Deploy, so hopefully we can stay on top of the issues that Munis is having. I will tell you that I joined some forums for Tyler Technologies, and I'm astounded by the number of open issues that they have. And I will also tell you that our Fitchburg bill, when I received our Fitchburg bill, that was also wrong. Misty in Fitchburg told me that she couldn't run apply credits. So they're having a very similar issue.
Okay. Just so everyone knows, Robert literally just joined the meeting, but I mean, Paul is painting a pretty accurate picture of where the situation is, and we can only hope that Munis is going to be able to figure out these problems. Do any of you have any specific questions for Paula regarding the software issues?
Mr. Chair, I got a statement. One is, Paula, when did we detected this problem?
I reported it on November 6th.
Today's January 9th, Mr. Chair. Our runs are going to happen within the next 30 days. We're sitting here waiting for this. I'm very upset that Paula has spent 400 hours of our money to try to fix this problem. And I'm glad that the senior management of town is starting to take a look at it and take it seriously. I want to thank Tom Alonso and Heather for starting to do this, but it's got to continue the pressure. Our bill run is coming up very soon. And Paula, I would run like we talked about, I would run a test billing and see what happens. And just
I talked to Peggy today during that, and until they load this this fix, we're going to run into problems again. The question that I asked is, could we run the bill run and then do this payment redistribution process that we went into today so that we can get the bills out? And she said it might work. So I have all the data ready to upload for the bill run. I've already done all the conversions and all the data. So that's ready to go anytime they're ready to try it in training. We will be doing it in training and running the bills completely. Unfortunately, we have to print the bills in order to generate the bills. They don't generate to PDFs. So we're going to use a lot of paper and ink to print 1,000 dummy bills. But we have to do that. And then we'll periodically go through those bills and look to make sure they're okay before we do the actual bill run in February.
Just like our customers know too, the bills when they first came out, it wasn't just 100 bills. It was all 1,000 bills. The form was wrong. They asked it to mail it to Boston. We usually have our mail sent to Boston. It's always sent to the DPW. It was a total screw up. So Paula, I just want to thank you for the work that you've done, and your assistant, by the way, and the phone calls coming into DPW. And I appreciate Bill and your staff taking these calls. They're unnecessary, unwarranted, and I'm upset. I want to get it fixed. That's not the way to run a business. That's our money. That's how we keep the business running. So I'll leave it at that. But I'm going to be watching, and our bills better be right in February. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I wanted to echo what Dave said. It just seems difficult to understand that, after 2 months after the problem has been identified, that we're still dealing with it, all the time that you've had to spend with it. And I have to imagine all the frustration that you've had having to deal with it. I hope that, the approach that you're taking now is going to bear you fruition, because it's so far people have not been responding.
No, but I want to get a bill made up for Paula's time and send it to Heather. Let Heather do it.
Yeah.
I will tell you that Tom mentioned that during our meeting with Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta get reimbursed some way. This is stupid.
Part of the issue towards the beginning was just getting Tyler Technology to sit up and listen, and it wasn't from lack of trying on Paula's part. They just didn't seem to take it seriously. I mean, I've been on the email strings, and some of you have heard, I heard the word elevate, escalate, sending it up to support management, and none of it seemed to make much of a difference. But I don't want to harp on that too long. Again, Paula's done a great job explaining where we are, and she's on top of it. I'm glad Tom got involved. So anyway, hopefully it'll resolve soon. As I mentioned, Robert Lilly is with us, so we can start talking about capital planning and system maintenance. You want to start with capital planning, Paul?
Well, so first I would just ask Robert for a general overview of where the system is and kind of recap where we are based on his December report. And then if we can ask him to just give us some feedback on capital planning and kind of put him on, I don't mean to put you on the spot, Robert. I know Wade's looking at trying to get some quotes, but what I really want to know is there's no way we can do all of the capital plans that the upgrades that we need to do this year. So my question is, what are the highest priorities? And I think you're the best person to answer that.
Paulo, excuse me, before we do that, could we introduce Robert Lilly? Who's he from? I'm not familiar with Robert.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Robert Lilly works for CTE as in fairly recently, but my understanding from talking to Bill and Paula, he's been doing a tremendous job, and he's got a lot of good ideas, and I look forward to his continued working with us. So, Robert, if you want to go ahead and
yeah, I'll introduce myself. Yeah.
Sure.
So Chad brought me on, CTE brought me on back in September, but I'm a wastewater operator and technician, so I have pretty extensive experience with collection systems, and actually some past experience with this collection system. So, you know, I've been there since September, and I think we have a pretty decent idea of what might be the burgeoning problems, what might be the upcoming issues, and maybe some things to take a look at. Just like Paula asked, to go over what's been going on with the system since in December. We've had quite a few pump clogs at a variety of different stations. Leominster Road, which is a pretty large pump house, has had multiple cloggings on one pump specifically, and then over the past month or so, we've had smaller submersible grinder pumps getting bound up and clogged. So kind of where we're at is the need for pump outs at the wet wells, really at probably 6 stations immediately. Other than that, there's been a few minor mechanical issues. Identified last month that Dana Street dialer doesn't hold a charge for the battery. So if the power was to ever really fault out, it probably wouldn't call out. So we're in the process of getting that replaced and quoted out. Other than that, everything's been pretty good. Besides clogging pumps, we're pulling them out, unclogging them, and putting them back online. And that's really where it stands. Everything's been functional. So we are waiting for 2 new control panels for West Street and Francis Street. And I'd say once those are all up to date, the control aspects of the system are kind of resolved. And then it would kind of get into, I mean, we could talk about capital planning and what might need to be thought about, but it's in pretty good condition, I would say, right now.
Well, that's good news. Now, the wet wells needing to be cleaned, I assume it's in all the clogging, just a lot of debris sitting at the bottom of these wet wells. All the non-flushables that are labeled flushables, probably.
Yeah, and then even just some random types of things that shouldn't go down a toilet that end up in the collection system. So you never know what goes down. I mean, yeah, at Leominster Road, it's really been probably a combination of the unflushable wipes that say they're flushable. That's really what's getting pulled out. The other 2 were a little bit more questionable, and they should be able to grind up stuff. So it was almost like nylon or elastic that got in it. But yeah, at the end of the day, they're just due for pump outs, and it's probably an accumulation of debris that needs to be removed.
So on that, Robert, I did just finally get a quote from Hall Pump. Now you said 6 stations. I had asked for the 5 stations we had talked about. What is the 6th station?
The ones that are totally necessary, I would say, are Dana Street, Mass 1, and Leominster Road, Meadowwoods, West Street, and Francis Street.
Okay, I did not have Meadowwoods on the list. I had all the others. So
Okay.
Meadowwoods is a new one. So that is a critical pump out as well?
Yeah, honestly, that's probably I told Bill about this. I think that they're doing some form of work where the grease buildup has been astronomical over the past 2 weeks. Like, where like it created a shelf of grease that really wasn't there.
Okay. All right. I'll have to ask them. I will tell you that it's taken a very long time to get these quotes. I finally got it today from Hall Pump, and it's for $7,500 for the pumping, plus additional costs for disposal. But again, that doesn't include Meadowwoods, and I think that's a fairly large tank, isn't it?
Maybe 1,000 gallons maximum, but we could pump it down to its lowest level and then just have them skim off all the solids.
All right. Is that a tank entry?
No, that's not.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll have to revisit that quote. And I have not received a quote from Clean Basins. I know Bill asked them again when they were here doing some other work for the DPW. I know he asked again, but I still haven't heard from Brian. Brian wanted to do some site visits, but I have not heard from him.
Yeah. They'd probably come in a little bit more expensive, would be my guess.
Yeah. So I'll contact Hall tomorrow and see if they can add Meadowwoods and what that cost would be. What do we do about the grease?
That was my next question.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much you can do. It's usually like houses that have garbage disposal in them are the major contributors to it because they think they can flush anything down, so they just send everything.
So if grease is becoming a problem,
I'd say it is at 2 locations, Meadowwoods being one of them, and then the other one's Mass 2, which is the one that's, I guess if you're heading towards Fitchburg, down Mass Ave, it's the second one after the center of town. It's, well, actually the one that's right after the center of town on the right. And that one's has significant grease buildup. So
Since when, Robert? Because that one is, we had a clog with that one, and we had to hire somebody to come out and clear the clog. Well, it's still a significant amount of grease in that line?
yeah, no, not necessarily in the line, just in the wet well itself, in the tank, and yeah, it's kind of standard for it to stay there because it floats on the surface, and once it's in, it won't go anywhere.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, unfortunately, we had a problem with the grease building up in the line, and it caused a backup.
Yeah,
I just want to clarify, Robert, you said it was Mass 2, right?
Mass 2, yep.
And is that is that the first or second one on Mass Ave heading towards Fitchburg? If you're leaving the center of Lunenburg, is the first one on Mass Ave Mass 2 or Mass 1?
From the center, it is the first one after like the center there, so it's on the right side. That's Mass 2.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely the one that Paul is talking about then.
Yeah.
Now the grease at Meadowwoods, I mean, would it ever be worthwhile talking about putting some type of grease interceptor prior to the line going into the pump station?
Possibly, but I don't think that the station's been pumped in maybe over a year and a half.
Okay.
So,
okay. And I guess my one last question, on December 22nd, you replaced a solenoid, I think?
yes.
And we used a spare from stock. Now, was that the last one? Are we reordering a new one?
We have, that was kind of a spare part that fits inside of the solenoid itself. We do actually have another spare, like a full kit.
Okay.
Our plan is to probably get some more spares in stock.
Okay. Any of the commissioners or any of the other staff have any questions?
I have a quick question. You just mentioned that the wells had been pumped in about a year and a half, of that one. What is the recommendations for that? Is it like a 6-month period? Is it keep an eye on them? Is there any recommendation? What frequency of that?
Probably an annual basis, but also based off visual inspection. So if it, like, for instance, a few of the stations, there's nothing in them for visually. And
Yeah.
that's where we say just like, there's no need to pump it out. It's a waste of time. The other ones that they build up on the surface level and you can see debris and whatnot, that's when I'd say an annual basis, at least for the 3 major pump stations, and then on a visual basis for the other ones.
Have we been doing that? Is that?
No.
Okay, that's why I'm asking, because it seems like preventive maintenance to me. It could be
Yeah, it is.
practice.
And it's kind of an indicator once the pumps start to clog that it's time to take a look at those stations.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any
Mr.
other
Chair,
questions?
just a quick thought question. The pump that would be receiving grease from number 1 Main Street, that's I don't know what number Mass Ave that is, but that's across from Townsend Harbor Road. Have you, Robert, noticed any buildup of grease there in recent weeks or months?
Not really. I mean, it's such a big station that it does have pretty good accumulation, but nothing. Dana Street will be of like all 3 of those big stations. Dana Street's the one that shows the worst signs of grease in anything. Mass 1, that's Mass 1 across from Townsend Harbor. It's not terrible, but it's due to be pumped, but it's nothing out of the ordinary, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And the Dana Street, do you think that has anything to do with the grease trap locations on electric? Out of curiosity, the restaurants there.
Yeah, I definitely has to do with the restaurants. And even heading back up towards Leominster, the other side of that street, I think there's 2 more restaurants that probably feed into there. So that would be my guess is, yeah. The amount of restaurants in that area cause pretty high grease buildup.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Plus, of course, you got the Dunkin' Donuts there as well.
Right. Yeah, right next door. So that doesn't help.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So I do have a number of questions, but they're related to capital planning.
Well, I think we could move on to that at this point.
Okay. So Robert, we've made a lot of progress this year since you've been on board. So far this year, just for the commission's knowledge, we've spent $52,559 on capital so far this year. Our budget is $95,408. So based on the list that Wade, who is I think he's the operations manager, is that his title?
He's
Robert?
general manager. Yeah, he's off.
Okay. General manager at CTE. He sent over a list of things that he thought that needed to be looked at, and he's getting some quotes on. And the question that I have for this year is, what are the top priorities? Because we're not going to be able to address all of them. So the pumps and motors at Dana Street, he mentioned, and you just mentioned, are those a priority to be fixed this year, do you think?
I think what we would state is that over the next maybe 6-year period, the pumps and motors at the 3 large pump houses be looked at for replacement.
Okay. So it's not anything that has to be done this year as far as you're concerned?
No, it doesn't have to be, no.
Okay. Well, I guess we have funds. So my question is, what do you think is the top priority? He did mention that the pumps at Mass 1 have very loud lower bearings,
Yeah, those
And
would
he
be my,
says that's most likely to fail in the future. So
yeah,
would you put that as a high priority item for this year?
I would say Mass ones will be the choice station to go with.
Okay. Okay. And on Electric Ave, he mentioned that the hatch cover for the wet well is dated and it has 2 openings where the lifting points are broken off.
Yeah,
So is that a priority as well?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you said you're getting a quote on the dialer for Dana Street?
Yeah, that's pretty pressing, honestly.
Okay. And then he mentioned carb troll replacements for a number of stations for Dana, Leominster, and Mass One. Are those critical? Do they really need to be replaced this year?
Really, what those are there for is for resident or like people just complaining about the odor of a station. It's
Okay.
noticeable for sure that they're probably done at Mass One and Leominster Road, but if no one's going to
Okay.
complain about it, is it critical? No, it's just an odor.
Okay. But those are relatively low ticket items. Those are $2,500 is the general
Yeah.
ballpark, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So next time you come in, if we could just, I need the quotes on everything and we can make sure that we hit the high priority items this year.
Yep.
Obviously, the wet well cleaning is number one. But then moving forward for the next several years, I just want to mention capital planning is someplace that we haven't, the sewer department hasn't focused a lot of money towards since 2017. Actually, 2017, we didn't spend anything. So I really want to bring the stations up to where they need to be.
Yeah.
So replacing some of the generators, replacing the pumps, and that's the spreadsheet I had forwarded to you. I guess Wade had some trouble opening it.
I have it right here.
Okay. So, we're looking at replacing generators in fiscal 25. And the question that I would have there is, what ones are the highest priority? Which ones are the most critical? For next year, I forecasted Electric Ave and Twin City.
Yeah.
But that's really where I need the feedback. And I didn't have pumps, for everything. So we're going to have to push those out. So if we can just maybe sit down and talk about what ones are higher priority, because that's going to help us figure out what we need to budget and what potential rate increase we're looking at.
Okay. I'll plan to be in tomorrow. And
Okay.
what will be helpful is to take a look up in the storage shed to see what pumps are in stock. I think
Okay.
that'll be able to give us an idea of. I mean, I know that one was replaced at Francis Street back in July. We did have a.
Yeah, and I don't believe we have a replacement for that.
Right.
That was one of the questions Wade had.
Okay, so just to figure out what's in there, I'll take a look at what pumps are there, and then that'll give us a better idea. I think
Okay.
a few of them are interchangeable, where they're the same pump for like maybe 3 different stations.
3 stations. Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, but I can plan to be in tomorrow morning.
All right. That would be great.
Yeah. In terms of the generators, those are the 2 that I would suggest. The other ones are, I mean, they have minor issues, a few of them, but the 2 at Twin City and Dana's Electric Ave, those ones are pretty ancient. So.
Okay. All right. And the one at Mass 3 is a very expensive generator.
Yes, it is.
Is that something that's going to last us several years, or what do you think the remaining life is?
That one should be fine. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, because Al had forecasted it in fiscal 26. If we could push that out, that would be very helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that can make it. I'd say
Okay.
pumps would be a higher priority than a new generator from Mass 3.
Okay.
Now that generator that we're talking about right now that's $110,000, Paul. Am I reading that right?
Sure. That's right. Yep.
But then actually, I'm looking at the fiscal 27, and the
Oh, the
generator
one at Francis Ave. Yeah.
is 120. Is that?
That's the price that I had from Al, and that is surprising to me because the generators that are electric are 60.
Yeah, I mean that's one of our smaller pump stations. So Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was the number you were given correctly, so.
That was
Okay.
the number that I was given, but I would agree that that seems an anomaly given the prices for Twin City and Electric.
Okay. Any other questions for our guest here?
I got a couple, Mr. Chair. One is, Paul is correct about the capital expenditure, but we did fund the maintenance program and then change it to the capital expenditure. Robert, by the way, welcome to Lunenburg. Have you guys seen this, the Lunenburg sewer collection system maintenance plan?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so are we using this as a guideline or what are we doing with this?
The one from Wright Pierce?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, using that as a guideline and just, yeah.
And Paula, I agree with you, the price of the generators, those prices fluctuate. I think what we should look at is not only replacing the generators when we have to, but try to keep them all uniform with the same vendor or the same company, Generac or whoever, Robert, you recommend, a dependable name. Right now, I think we get 10 generators, all different generators. Is that correct, Robert? You know?
Yeah, the ones she's talking about, the ones at Francis and Mass 3, those are cats.
Okay,
I don't actually know offhand. I want to say that the ones at Twin Cities are Generacs, but I couldn't tell you right now. But I do know for sure the cats are at Mass 3 in Francis.
yeah. And also, Paula, thanks for the talk this morning. Mr. Chair, I recommend that maybe you, me, one of the commissioners go out and visit these pump stations to get to know. I think Paula wants to do a road trip, if I'm not mistaken, Paula. So, I mean, if you want to designate somebody who can look at this, maybe Mike Mackin would like to go.
I would love to go.
Yeah, and do your own list. I mean, Paula knows more about these stations probably than Robert does now. But
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I just want to tell you that Robert has been amazing. He's doing a lot of work that has been undone. He's removing corrosion from the pump stations. He's painting things. He's looking at I&I. He's really looking at what equipment needs to be replaced and to bring them up to where they should be. So I just want to say I really appreciate the work that Robert's been doing.
I don't think we've ever had that kind of review, Robert. So thank you very much from all of us for what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think it would be nice if Mr. Chair and Mike and maybe Bill, if you want to, and Paula go out and look at some of these stations and come back with some kind of a report to the rest of the board. But visuals always.
You know, I always enjoy a field trip to the pump station. That I think between Robert and Paula, you know, it'd be a good idea to have another set of eyes. And Mike Mackin, if you want to go, that'd be great. And another commissioner, but you know, if we get 3, we have to worry about a quorum. So
Exactly. So I mean, 2 can go. Brett, I don't know.
Okay.
I'll look at them.
You can do a site visit as a quorum as long as you don't have any extensive discussion. Just FYI.
okay, all right. So we, Michael would like to go. Brett, I think you have expressed an interest in the past, right?
Yes, I don't have any time on my hands currently right now to do so.
Winter, come on. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
I'd be happy to go. Don't want to leave you out, Mike Nault.
Well, I personally did the tour about 10 years ago, and I fondly remember it, and that right now I'd be good, so.
And they haven't changed too much in 10 years, so. Okay, Paula, why don't you?
But before you move on, Mr.
Sure.
Chair, there was a mention of the maintenance plan. Is that something that's available online? Because I don't think I've seen it.
I thought that I sent it to you, Michael. If I didn't, I will look. It's a very big file, but I can at
Oh,
least.
could
put a
be.
link to
Yeah,
it.
could be I missed it. Sorry. I'll
Yeah,
look
yeah.
for it.
Yeah,
No,
so
I'll look. I can send it to you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
pages, right? Just so you know. But that's what it looks like.
So, Robert, is the site visit something you'd like to be with us on?
Yeah, I
Maybe
wouldn't
we-
mind.
Yeah, maybe
I'm-
we could coordinate it with your schedule.
That's fine. I'm out there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so
Okay,
you pick a time and tell me what works for you and I'll adjust accordingly.
Okay.
Mondays and Fridays are good for me.
Okay.
Wednesdays, I have a standing thing to feed cats.
Okay,
So,
we're
Robert, if
not
you
gonna
could
go there, okay?
so Robert, if you can just throw out some times for a Monday or a Wednesday coming up, and then, I'll
Monday or
Send it to
Friday
the
or
commission.
when?
sorry, a Monday or a Friday.
Okay, okay, yeah. I mean, I could do this Friday or next Monday, so.
I'm
Or-
gonna have to, if more than 3 are gonna go, I'm gonna have to post it, so.
Okay.
Well, I think as far as commissioners go, it sounds like just Michael and myself, because
Okay, so we're good then. So how about the 15th? Would that work?
the
Monday?
15th,
Oh, I'm sorry, I will be out of town on Monday.
Okay. How about the 22nd?
What about this Friday? He's available this Friday.
I can do morning. I can't, do you typically work mornings, Robert?
I do, but
Okay, so
I
I
can
could do
adjust
morning, but I can't do afternoon time.
I'm fine in the morning.
this Friday, the 12th, I could do that.
Okay.
In the morning, yeah.
All right, so what time, Robert, works for you?
9 AM
Okay,
and
so we'll meet at the DPW?
that would be fine. The only concern, I guess, would be that the snow's on the ground and all these stations aren't necessarily fully cleared out. So
I have to believe that by Friday, they'll be rained out.
that would be the hope, right? But we'll see.
That's where I recommend Bill go to check it out too.
Hey, if you happen to know a good breakfast place, they could probably go out to breakfast or something.
John knows a good place.
Yeah. Okay, so let's plan on Friday at 9 AM unless something comes up weather-wise.
Works for me.
Okay,
All right, and we'll still get together tomorrow, Robert, to go over capital?
Yep. I'll
Okay.
be in, it's probably the same time, 9 AM. I'll be in.
Okay. All right, that works great.
okay.
Robert, thank you for everything you do.
Okay.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Robert. Great to
Robert,
have you.
thank-
Great to have you working with us.
Okay. Well, I'll see some of you on Friday and keep talking with the rest of you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
All right.
Okay, that leaves 2 items left on the agenda, right, Paula?
Yeah, and I just want to revisit the capital planning. I didn't really want to get into it while Robert was here, but I pulled all the numbers back all the way back to 2017. And this year we had budgeted, I encumbered some money. So we have the 95,000 available, which I envisioned spending all of it. But just to give you an idea of where we were, in fiscal 23, we spent 20,000. In fiscal 22, we spent 22. 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, we didn't spend anything. So we're kind of behind the 8 ball, and looking at everything we need to do, I just want to prepare you that over the next out to 29, actually beyond to 32, I'm looking at about $120,000 a year in capital expenditures. So when we get to the point where we're in our budget, we are going to have to, we know we're going to have to do a rate increase based on what Fitchburg and Leominster are doing, but we need to factor that, the upgrades we need to do in as well.
Paula, good point. But back when we allocated money to fund this program, in fact, John and Mike and I kind of made fun of it. We gave Rob a lot of money. Do you remember that, John? Was it $100,000?
I think it was 100,000, yeah.
Now, we let Rob handle the maintenance program that we just saw you. Now, not aware that he only spent $20-something thousand. But the first year we funded it was when Rob Oliver was here. So, so that would have been, Bill, what you took over for, when did you start, Bill?
You're muted, Bill.
He's thinking. Okay.
Yeah, I am thinking. I started 19 months ago, so 22.
2022. So he would have been
21, right? 21.
it would have been the year 2000 is when we put a lot of money into that capital.
So I've got to find out, what these funds are. And I'm just working my way through the budget and how it works. And there's some, obviously the regular expenses I understand, but there's a lot of general fund transfers, stabilization fund transfers, and capital fund transfers. But we haven't tapped into that money. And that's what I think we have to do is really look at what are in those accounts, what is in our retained earnings, and look at putting it towards upgrades of the stations. So
Absolutely. That's why it was done that way. And Mike, remember, you and I were the ones who set up the capital program as far as funding this. So there's got to be money in there now, Paul.
well, it does. I mean, unless it's into a stabilization fund, it doesn't stay. So it may have been in the budget, but it would just have gone back to retained earnings if it wasn't expended.
Yeah, I think we should.
So, and that's what I've pulled all the actual expenditures back to 2017 and it wasn't spent. So, we'll have to look at what I know that there were a couple of years we put a very substantial amount of money back into retained earnings, and it may have been a portion of those funds.
No, I don't think so. Because I know we bought some pumps with it. Didn't we buy some pumps, John? We bought like 3 pumps for maintenance.
I'm not recalling at this point.
I don't know what's in the barn now, but I'm sure there's some pumps.
Well, I don't know what line item they came out of then, because I'm not seeing them. So.
Oh, let's start fresh then.
It would be nice if there was some ARPA money in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you got 100 grand.
Like me.
I've been thinking that, but I've been holding my tongue, but
Not me. Did not like it at all.
yeah. Okay. Anything else on capital?
Paula, you're doing good at this. This has been a pain in our sides for years. So
Well, thank you.
if we could streamline it so we can all understand it, that would be great.
Yeah, Bill and I have been talking a lot about what needs to happen at the pump stations, and even things like just general grounds maintenance and making sure that that's incorporated, wet well cleaning, making sure we budget that on an annual basis. So things that we've kind of let fall off, I want to make sure we cover it annually.
Who's doing the snow removal for the pump stations now? The DPW?
Yeah, we typically plow up to them. The shoveling, Robert gives himself a path to it, but if more is needed, yeah, it would be DPW doing it.
But I thought we also would pay you to do that, if I'm not mistaken. Just so you know.
Dave's talking about himself personally.
No.
Okay, anything else on capital planning?
Thank you, Paul.
No, yeah, thank you, Paul. Okay, 2 items left on the agenda. The IMA and the sewer business manager's job description. Probably, why don't we go with the IMA discussion? Have you all had a chance to read the IMA that Paula spent the time typing, bringing it up to date with modern technology?
I got it today.
You got it. Actually, you got it weeks ago.
Well, I mean, I printed it today.
Okay.
But I mean, it's like what we talked about, but I do want to go through it one more time, but I'm not going to hold up anything because I trust Paula with what she did here.
I read it also when it originally came out, and I'm fine with it.
I just wish we can get more out of it, though. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, so I think the focus, you guys had kind of redlined the first thing, and the major changes have been requesting Leominster to provide some services. So if you could take a look at that section, and then Dave, I know you read it because you had a very good point. You called me and said we need to, hold Leominster harmless if they're working on our system. So I added a very vague statement about that.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to get something to Jake and try to schedule a meeting. I know he was looking for it back in December.
Right.
Well, is there, hold on, let me think. I would say, let's just review it one more time, and Paul, I'll give you my input by Friday. I mean, I don't think there's anything else we can squeeze out of this. Does anybody have an opinion?
Well,
on it?
it's really, if we could just look at it, it's really just sections 9 and 10 of the IMA, I think, that are questionable. Everything else, there's no other big changes. And they're pretty simple, straightforward sections.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to do with the connection fees, and that's a pass-through fee anyways.
I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't hear you.
I said, I know we can't do anything with the connection fees, even though they're going up a lot, but that's a pass-through bill. There's nothing we can do about that.
Right.
I just wish we could break. And again, just a thought out there, instead of the rates taking that huge increase in 1 year, can we defer that over 2 years or 3 years? You know what I mean?
What, the $3,500 connection fee?
No, the fees themselves. The fees are going up how much a percentage?
We don't, I think it's,
5%.
oh, I have it in a different spreadsheet. Hold on. I just lost my computer here. I want to say 12%, but I don't think it's in the IMA. The IMA doesn't specify a rate.
Overall, I think we did what we can do. That's, what do you think, Paula?
I've never written a contract like this. So my question is, do you guys want more in the, basically we're asking for 100 hours of maintenance services every fiscal year, free of charge with 30 days advance notices. And that services would include inspection technologies, cameras to assess condition of sewer infrastructure, jetting of lines. So those are the two things we're really looking for. And then in the event of an emergency, we would want Lemons to assist Lunenburg with personnel and equipment in the event of an emergency, such as overflows, at a rate to be mutually agreed upon by July 1st, 2024, and every 3 years thereafter. And then we added an indemnification clause to indemnify Leominster for their assistance.
Yeah.
So,
When that one meeting was held with Leominster and Dave and Mike were there, I think Bill was there, Heather was there. Paul, I don't remember if you were at that meeting or not.
I was.
Okay. Was there any discussion with Leominster regarding these additions in section 9 and section 10 at that point in time?
No.
So they'll be seeing this for the first time when this goes to them.
Yep.
Okay.
This is something that hasn't been done before, by the way. This is something new.
Right. And if I remember Dave, your logic was, given that the increases in connection fees and rates that were equivalent to what Leominster residents are being charged, you thought maybe some service should be provided with that?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
If I may say, it only makes sense that when you're in Leominster and you're paying that rate, it comes with all that service, and that's in the fee. So therefore, why shouldn't partially Leominster be helping us out with that? It's a great idea. Really.
All right. So it sounds, unless Brett and Michael feel differently, we should leave that in there at this point in time.
Well, keep in mind what Mike was saying exactly right. If you lived in Leominster, we're paying the same rate. We're paying the same, everything the same. We just thought that Leominster should assist us with our services too, or give us a reduced rate. That's the philosophy behind
Well,
it.
I think it's a question that should be asked, and I guess this is the way to ask it.
Does this go to our attorney for a review or before you send it to Lemonster?
Not until you're done with the negotiations and you've both agreed and come up with something that's, pretty firm, and then we'd have council look at it.
I just don't see anything else, Mike. Do you? I mean,
No, I think let's try and get that meeting scheduled so we get, they were cooperative last time, so let's see this time how we make out.
I'm thinking if we submit this, let them come back to us and redline it and see where we go from there. So maybe we can do a little more negotiation.
That's fine too.
Yeah,
Are we all in agreement on that?
that's our recommendation
Okay.
for our committee.
Okay, now, Paula, there was just one other item I wanted to ask you about, and it's in your section 18.1, connection charge.
Yep.
Okay, it says multiple family dwellings. This is about a little more than halfway down. Multiple family dwellings shall pay an equivalent multiple of the connection fee times the factor of 70%. They had redlined the 70%.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll make that correction. Yeah, the rest of the changes they're changes, so I'll take a look again at the red copy you sent me.
Yeah, so I think if a period went after the word fee, they had redlined the times the factor.
Okay, times a factor of 70%. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for catching that.
All right, so is this something that we need to take a vote on at this point in time?
I think, Mr. Chair, I think we should take a vote on it to go to the next step. So if the board can, if they have any questions to ask Mike or I, but I think we should go and vote to bring it to the next step, which would be to bring it to Lemonster.
It sounds like you're trying to make a motion there, Dave.
Not a motion, a recommendation. It's up to you to, if you want to do that.
Your recommendation is, for some reason, I'm not hearing most people really well tonight. You're recommending that we take a vote?
Yes,
Okay.
He's recommending a motion.
yes.
So does someone want to make that motion? You almost had it, Dave.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to that the commission authorize the negotiating committee to go to the next step with the town of Leominster and the IMA.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
Can I just make a suggestion?
Sure.
That in the suggestions, in the discussions with Lemonster, I think it's really important that we make sure that there aren't any looming large capital projects coming forward, in the next 10 years, because if there is, that's going to change our approach to our budget.
Paula, it's funny you said that because I was thinking that, but I don't want to bring that up until we go for our next round of negotiations.
Yeah, I'm just thinking during the discussion, it's something to talk about. That's all.
No, thank you for bringing that up.
But that's another negotiating point that we can handle in the future too. That's
Right. Right.
All right, so we have a motion on the table. On any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Nault,
Aye.
Brett Ramsden,
Aye.
Dave McDonald,
All right.
Michael Mackin,
Aye.
and I for myself. The motion passes. Okay. The last item on the agenda, unless I'm missing something here, is the sewer business manager's job description.
Yeah. Bill
Why don't you
reached
just
out
give us
to
an
the
update here,
personnel.
Paul, on that? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Bill reached out to the personnel, to Julie today to find out when it would be on the personnel agenda, and it's on for next Wednesday for the personnel committee to look at it.
What are we looking at?
The revised job description, I had sent it out to everybody.
Now, when you say take a look at it, is this to discuss it or possibly vote on it?
Well, I'm really hoping that they're gonna vote on it, but I don't know what they're gonna do. Bill, your thoughts?
Don't know. Don't know. Yep, hopefully they kick it around, ask us questions, why we made changes we did, and hopefully they approve it, but who knows?
Okay, so just next Wednesday. So we're not talking tomorrow. We're talking the 17th.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's hope it all goes well.
Do we know if they actually made any progress on any of it? They
They
seem
haven't
to be-
seen it yet. From my knowledge, Julie may have sent it. She had scheduled us for December 20th, and we weren't able to attend that night. Bill had a conflict, and I think it's really important that Bill be there. So we were just looking to get it rescheduled. So I'm assuming that they've read it. If not, they will have received it before the meeting. But there hasn't any, I don't believe they've discussed it or talked about why we made the changes.
Do you want any of us to attend that meeting as well?
I think it would be, Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, why not? It'd be beneficial, right? Because you see what Paula does firsthand, so you could be another witness to the changes we made.
I mean,
Be sure to send out an email on the date.
Yeah.
Date time.
Well, if you guys should be careful, because if more than one's going to attend, I have to post it. So.
All right, so it's the 17th, and what time do they meet, Paula?
I think they
5
said
o'clock?
it's got to be 5 p.m.
5 p.m. So, maybe we can resolve the quorum issue tonight. So, Brett, you expressed an interest in going. Dave, what about you? Mike or Mike?
Whoever Paula wants. Paula, you pick it.
No, I'm not going to pick. Whoever from the commission would like to attend, I could definitely.
I will gladly volunteer not to go.
Not to go?
Not to go?
Dave, I don't want to put you on the spot, but these are your former cronies. I mean, you were on the personnel committee for several years, or
Yeah,
right?
no, I love every one of them. They're great people.
Okay.
But you know what? I'd be glad to attend too.
Okay. And next Wednesday I could attend also.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause
that
I
would be
believe-
great.
I believe I could make it also. I think it's.
So you may want to send a notice out that the Sewer Commission may be attending. And you know what's good about this committee? We work together, and I'm proud of that. So, we're in it for all, and to protect our people. So I don't have any problem going. If you want to do a notice, we can do our own swearing in when we're there. Make it a meeting.
Yeah, you'll just have to open the meeting and close the meeting,
Yeah,
and we'll have to take minutes. So
you can do that while you're hollering. That's not a problem.
I'm going to try not to holler.
Yeah, try not.
Okay, so all right, we're all set on that then?
Yep.
Okay. So if let's see, I guess we're at the point of public comment. And since the only public here are sewer department members and sewer commissioners, do we have any comment from any of you?
Mr. Chair, I just want to
Dave.
invite people tomorrow to go to the Water District meeting. It's going to be held at the Water District. I think it's at 6 o'clock. In regards to articles, you don't have to be a customer of the Water District. You have to be in the Water District. So if you have a house that's that you're not connected to water, it doesn't mean you can't go and vote. Your vote is very important. So tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Water Department on Mass Ave, down by Dunkin' Donuts. Thank you.
Okay, any further comment? Upcoming meetings. The next scheduled one is January 30th, then February 13th, February 27th, March 12th. Does anyone have any specific agenda items they'd like to see on at the next meeting? No? Okay.
I
Well-
will say that my hope is that at least by the first meeting in February, we can start talking about our budget. Hopefully the billing will have gone out and we'll be good, but we really need to start working on the budget and any potential increase that we're gonna be looking at, and so that's gonna consume a lot of our time, I think.
Stop working on the bills. If we should
I'm
start-
sorry?
If you're not
stop
working on the bills.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully the bills have gone out. I'm gonna try to be optimistic.
I think though, doesn't the presentations go to the finance committee first week of March, somewhere around the 12th?
Mhm.
Yeah, we
Yes.
got to do a budget sooner than that, so.
Yeah, I've been working on it. That's why I started pulling numbers, back, and I've talked to Bill about it. And once I have all the numbers plugged in, Bill and I are going to sit and go through it, and then bring it to you.
Okay. Any other comments before we end? No? Okay. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting? No?
So
I'll
moved.
make a motion.
I'll
Okay, I
second.
think I heard Michael Mackin first, so does someone want to second his
I'll-
motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? No? Roll call, Mike Nault,
Aye.
Dave McDonald,
All right, hey Brett, you look good, by the way. I didn't get a chance to talk to you. Hope everything's well.
Michael Mackin,
Aye.
Nice.
and let's see, did I ask Brett?
Aye.
Aye, and I for myself. The meeting is adjourned, and I guess I have to remember to shut the recording off, right?
Good
Right.
night, Lunenburg.
All right, thank you all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good job, Paula.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
See you, Bill. Good night, boo-boo.